Well, hey there. This is American Nana. Um, I scheduled this to do, and I just saw that Runkle of the Bailey is live with David Yannetti and Bob Alessi. So um, I doubt anybody will stop by, but I've, Karen Reed being freed is absolutely the best thing that I've ever seen. Um, I always felt that she would be found not guilty, but there was still that fear. And I can now. Well, I heard her say on something, and I haven't watched all of her interviews or read all of the articles, but I did hear her say one time about always having a bag packed, and that broke my heart. So hopefully she has now gone and unpacked her bag and feels safe and knows she will forever be free. The the problem that I have is now that the trial is over, we've got all the people that want to come on and clear their names, be vindicated. What is it? What is it the McAlberts want? So I'm going to play the video that is on YouTube, and I'm going to give my thoughts, and I'm going to give my questions because they seriously can't be for real thinking that this is accepted, right? I think I'm going to actually kill the stream and do it different. I am. I'm going to I don't think I'm gonna do a live. I think I'm gonna go and just do a recording and then play it because seems like lots is going on in my house, doors open and closing. So I think I'll just well, I don't know. I do all these videos and then don't put them up. So maybe I will. Hey, get to Ducking Point. How are you? I was sitting here trying to decide whether to stay live and do my video or just record it because Runkle of the Bailey is live right now. I didn't know. And he's got Bob Alessi and Yannetti on. I mean, I know I'll watch it later, but I'm sure everybody's over there because I almost went over there myself. But how about that? Karen Reed is free, and she can unpack her bag that she always had by the door. I heard her say that in a comment one time that she always has a bag packed because she never knows when they're going to come. And that broke my heart. But it's so nice to know she can unpack her bag now, isn't it? But I don't know. Have you seen the video that the McAlberts are on? Oh, how sweet! Yeah, our internet was out for like a day and a half. We had no internet yesterday. That's crazy with school out and the kids at home. But, um, I didn't expect, I haven't watched Proctor. I have Hulu, so I'm going to have to watch that and give my opinions. I saw bits and pieces and I'm like, are you flipping serious? He made the comment he wouldn't have done anything different. So either the police, the law enforcement in Massachusetts are all blooming idiots for him to make that comment, because if he wouldn't do anything different, he obviously didn't learn anything, did he? And the Massachusetts State Police must not have taught him anything. If he's, what happened to him and the punishment that he had put on him, if that didn't do anything to him, then nothing's gonna. He's gonna get up on that hill and just roll off eventually one day. I did notice though that he looked dirty. He looked sweaty. He looked like he's gained a whole lot of weight. And I thought, if you're going to be interviewed, you could have at least showered. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but he definitely has gained some weight. Now I'm no great looking person, but I will say this. I mowed my front and backyard today. Yay, go me! And I hadn't mowed it in about a year because I was having a lot of trouble breathing, and I stubborn didn't want to go to the doctor. And I've been on medication quite a while now, and I actually um, thought today I was gonna see if it really helps, because I have medication for COPD. My husband had just finished doing a chemo treatment for cancer on his head, and he was going to come home and mow, but he'll get so sweaty, you know. So I did it, and I was tooting my own horn because I was like, "Yes, I can do it." And all I thought of when I saw Proctor the other day was, to me, he looked sweaty. He just looked dirty. I don't know. Yeah, he does. He looks more menacing. I know. I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams what all Karen Reed has lived through, her thought process, her feelings. She has been fighting for her freedom basically since John O'Keefe was found dead. She knew she was suspected, and then they arrested her, and then her life became an absolute living nightmare, in my opinion. And so when I saw the McAlberts doing this interview, I really have too many thoughts to just keep my mouth shut. So that's where we are, girl. All right, so I'm gonna play this. Let's see. No, that's not big enough. Okay, so I've got it at 1.25 speed because I know these great big stations will go after everybody that plays it. So I'm going to try to just do it and not get in trouble. We'll see though, right? But let's listen. This is so sick. I mean,
The criminal justice system has let us down at every turn, and yesterday was the final letdown. And that's why we're here, because there's nobody left to stand up for us.
Think real long and hard before you're a witness in a case.
really? That's what they have to say? Think think real long and hard before you're a witness in a case. I mean, really? First of all, lady, what were you a witness for? Okay, because you really technically you weren't a witness in the case. You were simply somebody they asked if John O'Keefe came into your home, in which case you said no. And you also had to say that Karen Reed did not seem drunk. She seemed fine, and that they were getting along, or the best you could tell, or maybe you didn't witness that part. So I'm sick of listening to these people say they were just witnesses in a case because technically, I don't believe, if you were a witness in the case, that means that you and that disgusting person sitting next to you have absolutely no clue, right? No, it means you know what happened if you were a witness in the case. If you were a witness in this case, then you had to know what happened. The problem is Karen Reed didn't know what happened. Karen Reed's attorneys didn't know what happened. The FBI, I hope they're still out there. I hope they're coming for y'all. I hope they're coming for whoever just has absolutely no respect for the law, no respect for John O'Keefe or his family. For for all the years y'all have tried to just blame Karen Reed, and honestly, let's pretend. Let me pretend that you guys all know nothing. If we just pretend that and you look at all the facts and you look at the lack of evidence, then you look at what the evidence does prove, then why aren't you screaming to the top of your lungs as to somebody find out what happened to John O'Keefe? It was impossible for his injuries to have come from that car. A police officer, not even affiliated with any of you goons, even described it as a small, it was missing a small piece. It wasn't shattered, it wasn't destroyed, it was still intact, and the red light shined through, but yet if you've got the diffuser, that was impossible. So there you go, folks. So are y'all gonna say who you gonna blame? You gonna blame Proctor because he absolutely believed every word Jen McCabe said. Is that what made him so sloppy at his job? Or do they really investigate like he says they do? Because if he wouldn't have made any changes, then he has to feel that he was doing his job. And that's scary thought if you guys live in Massachusetts. If Proctor thinks he was doing his job, oh my gosh. I gotta take a drink of coffee. Sorry, you probably heard that one. I am so thirsty. I've had 2 bottles of water and now I'm on coffee. Mowing that yard, it was heat index was probably close to 100. I probably shouldn't have been doing it, but I'm still so happy I did. So yeah, that those are all great thoughts. I mean, that's how I feel. I can't believe that they're on national TV whining, trying to get people to what? Feel sorry for them? What? Says after the verdict today, this interview had to be recorded before the verdict. I think maybe they expected not guilty on 1 and 3 and again and expected another mistrial. I don't know. I when he said after the verdict today, I mean, I think that it was after the verdict myself. But they sure are willing to talk, aren't they? Now that Karen Reed has not only been found not guilty of counts 1 and 3 again, she was found not guilty on counts 1 and 3 before. but the jury didn't know how to fill out the flipping paperwork or didn't know you could do one without the others or and the judge didn't make it easy. But I tell you what, lawyer, read um when it has to do with the judge saying how she could not answer a question, and lawyer, went into the state of Massachusetts, into that he found where, yeah, you can not only answer their question regarding this, but you can ask them some questions regarding that. So, you know, I just kicked myself all the way out. I've never done that. That was funny. Okay, so now I've got to go back to this. So, um, did this infuriated me, and for him to say the things he said is just sickening. Oh, bless your heart. I am so glad that you're better. I'm sorry. I don't know what I pushed, but I did something, and I threw myself right on out off of here. Okay, so we're gonna listen a few more minutes.
Because no one protects you. And it's very, very sad.
For the first time, some of the key players in the Karen Reed trial sitting down for an exclusive interview. His friend, Jennifer McCabe, and her husband, Matt. Former Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert and his wife, Nicole, and his brother, Chris Albert. All five of them pulled into the center of this high-profile case and now speaking out.
And I think the reason we all stayed quiet is because we were just witnesses. This is a thing that we had nothing to do with.
We did the civic duty.
All right. Oh my God, for Chris Albert of all of them to sit up there and just say, we were just witnesses. I mean, I am not by any means, and let me just say this in case the McAlberts happen to stumble in here to see if their point's getting across. I want to say that, how do I put it? I want to put this correctly. All right. I learned of Karen Reed's case and the facts presented at trial number one. I didn't know anything about Turtle Boy. I didn't know anything about Turtle Boy's what do you call it? His harassment charges. Um, I didn't know any of that. Okay, so for you guys to act like the world is blind is rather mind-boggling to me. You can't sit there and think everything was because of Turtle Boy. Now I know you're not saying it, but you're like saying that it's become a backstreet barbecue or some nonsense, and nobody that supported Karen Reed ever forgot John O'Keefe was killed. Everybody supporting Karen Reed want John O'Keefe's family to have closure. They want John O'Keefe's killer or killers found. And with the proof that was presented in both trials, the car didn't hit John. John didn't hit the car. The car didn't hit John. John didn't hit the car. And even though the Commonwealth tried to stop every single thing the defense tried to do, which I have never seen so much of that ever. I mean, defense witnesses are entitled to put on a defense. Even your most horrific people that you know without a doubt are guilty before they ever step foot in a courtroom, that were caught red-handed, and they're entitled to put on a defense. But when you have someone not guilty, it changes everything. These attorneys got paid for the first trial. These attorneys got paid nothing for the second trial. And they added more. Baba Leslie is fantastic. People were willing to forego money because they believe so strongly that all of the proof shows Karen Reed is innocent. So I have a big problem with this bullcorn conversation that's that's happening. This is just woe is me. Nobody, there are people. We live here. We've been here our whole life. And Chris Albert, I saw you. I saw you show your butt to Turtle Boy. I saw you treat women that were out in front of McCarthy's one day so rudely. Somebody sort of slapped you upside the head and said, "Son, you need some manners. You people need to understand that the problem is not Turtle Boy, okay? Do I agree with the things he always says and does? Not at all. He says some very offensive things. That's his choice, right? How he says things, what he says to people. I'm an old lady. That's my opinion. But he's got over um, millions of people that follow him. So there's a lot of people that follow him. That doesn't mean they are going to agree with how he does everything he does, but he does speak the truth. At least he speaks the truth. Oh, so this is true. The investigation was so unprofessional and corrupt. Yeah, can never get justice. And that's true unless somebody comes out and says something, right? Somebody who saw something. I keep thinking somebody somewhere has got to have a conscience, somebody in that group of people. And for Brian Albert to get up there and say if it was a conspiracy, it would take 50 people, duh. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. It takes the lead investigator believing what you're saying and all of a sudden coming up with the pieces, and then they try to work backwards to try to frame an innocent woman. Why? And you guys say, it would take, no, it would take very many people. Those of you, I mean, Jim McCabe, let me just say, she is the busybody of Canton. I mean, she must have really thought she was hot business before this happened, right? Because people probably had, I don't know, she probably had a following. Brian Albert giving public butt dolls. I tell you what, most disgusting thing that he said on the stand, I still just, I can't even fathom his drunken self, and he had been drinking all day since the better part of it, and then that night, and then climbing into bed for some whoopee. That just would have been just way too gross. But then when you figure that his butt somehow while he's making whoopee is calling Brian Higgins. And in the first trial, didn't he say that he wouldn't call Brian Higgins a good friend? I think he did. I think he did. Yeah, I don't know. You know, Brian Higgins, the thing about Brian Higgins, maybe he was actually involved. Now, there is no way the McAlberts would be covering for Brian Higgins if it was simply Brian Higgins had hit him and then it all happened. So that leaves you to think that Brian Higgins, most likely, I'm guessing, was involved. And what was he moving around at 1:30 in the morning? Who was he calling? And do they know if he went back to the house? Because somebody said something about um, like a snow broom. Yeah, yeah. Higgins is a colleague, not a close friend. There's no way these people would have stood up for Higgins had he done this. They would have thrown him under the bus so far that the tires would have just let loose all their tread. Just all he would have just been covered in that. They wouldn't have been able to get him off the bus. He would just kind of have gone with it, you know? But no. I know. That was just disgusting, wasn't it? I can't even, I mean, think about the stuff that's coming out your mouth, right? I mean, who wants to even picture that? Ugh. All right, let's see what else they got. What else?
Duty, came and told the truth, and that's it.
It's the case that has captivated the country and divided a town. Karen Reed, accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe, hitting him with her SUV and leaving him to die in a blizzard.
Into a tailgate party, it looked like some days. Board games, cornhole, cookouts. This is a guy that was murdered, and it's atrocious for that family.
While the prosecutors blamed
This is a guy that was murdered. He's still a guy. Did you catch that? This is a guy that was murdered. Tell them the guy never came in the house. There's a man passed out in the snow. Does that sound like anything you would say if you were talking about your friend? He wasn't your friend, Brian Higgins. I mean, Brian Albert. I doubt he was Higgins' friend either. Might have got along with you and y'all might have been drinking buddies, but mm. If it was Brian Higgins, the only reason Brian Albert would cover it up is because civilly liable because John O'Keefe died on his property. Yeah, but see, I don't think what I think is when John O'Keefe was injured, he was immediately incapacitated once his head injury happened. But they didn't know that. They didn't know that if we get him help, he may live, right? So even if there would have been a fight, then it would have been he wouldn't have been liable, I don't think, insurance-wise. I don't think he was worried about insurance. I think there's got to be more to the story. And the thing is we don't know. We don't know what happened, but Karen saw him go in the house. And the next thing is he's dead on the front lawn. So, you notice Julie Albert wasn't sitting there next to Chris. He disgusts me. And then for him to sit here and act like he's some normal person. Have you seen his behavior at the town hall meetings? The reason they quit having the town hall meetings where people could come to was because people hate Chris Albert. They don't want him on that board. So, yeah, sorry, not sorry. Nicole Coco looks even worse now. A heavily medicated or hidden case of White Claws. Probably the White Claws, you know. I don't know. But let's see what else they have to say because this is just, I mean, this infuriated me. Really did.
The defense said this group of family members framed Reed to cover up what really happened that night, ever since their lives becoming open season for endless conspiracy theories.
What they've done is they've dehumanized us to the sense where we're not real people. We're almost like caricatures. We're pawns.
Have each of you been called murderers? Like actual murderers?
Oh, yeah, on a daily basis.
Anybody who's touched this case has been called a murderer at some point.
And anyone who's friends with us support cop killers.
After 3+ years, the saga wrapped up yesterday. Reed captured celebrating at dinner with her father, and today seen walking with her attorney, Alan Jackson.
I didn't even know I'd be here today, so I had no plans.
Meanwhile, O'Keefe's family and friends struggling with the verdict.
I'm just sad for John's family and what happened yesterday, and I feel like they didn't get justice for him, and our lives just changed forever.
Why speak out now after the verdict?
We took what we thought was the high road. Right. Let the court do its job.
After a night of hanging out at a local bar in a brutal 2020.
We took what we thought was the high road, really. Let's see. Jennifer McCabe was all up in everything that happened. Y'all thought that eventually the lie would be accepted. The Commonwealth would get people to believe it, right? I mean, you took the high road? No, sir. No, sir. People weren't listening to you anyway. That's the problem. That was your problem because people didn't believe you. People that live in that town don't believe you people. So,
22 blizzard, Brian and his wife Nicole hosted a late night gathering at their home. An invitation had been extended to involving other members of law enforcement. Did John ever come in the house?
Never. No.
You never saw John O'Keefe in the house, right?
Never.
Never. Never.
These are people in your own community who believe the conspiracy theories, who believe that there were other law enforcement officials and agents involved in this. Why is it people in your own community who believe these conspiracy theories?
You do realize for this conspiracy to be true, it would take 30 to 50 people. You'd have to have multiple cops on 2 different police departments, multiple civilians, the medical examiner, firemen, EMTs, you name it. That's how preposterous and silly this is. And great question. I don't understand how people bought this.
Brian Al.
okay, so, oh my gosh, right? We have a retired Boston police officer trying to tell us that it would take a good 50 people to do a conspiracy or a cover up. No, sir. No, sir. Because you see, if you're the homeowner and you've already cleaned it up the best you could in your home, and then you control the people that come into your home, then you get the narrative put out there to your buddy Proctor, and you make him believe that this is true, mind you, not one single person could claim they were an eyewitness to what happened. So I don't know why you keep talking about y'all are just poor little witnesses. And I about threw up listening to Brennan trying to act as though Jen McCabe was nothing but a sports mom. We're just moms. We're just moms. Nobody bought the show, and anybody who saw the first trial saw the real Jen McCabe. So the second trial, for her to sit up there and just, yeah, she was coached or told how to perform better, be a more likable um, witness. But then they discount the fact that Carrie Roberts lied to the grand jury on behalf of Jim McCabe because Jim McCabe telling Carrie Roberts that Karen said Google hypothermia. And the other thing is, if you're asked to Google hypothermia, why would you be typing in how long to die in cold? Because hypothermia, you start typing that out and it would have just come up eventually really close. The how would have been long. And then we're going to say that the Google search never happened and Ian Whiffen explained it all. I don't know what Matt McCabe does, but he does something technology. I don't care what you say about Richard Green, whether you believe him or not on the Google search, but the one thing Richard Green said on that stand that was very enlightening is that Jim McCabe's phone was 100% wiped. Do you remember that? Wiped. Oh my gosh. You have a very dear friend who's in law school and she just went to Canton and went by 34 Fairview. Oh my gosh. I just, see, I'm going to forget what I was saying now. There I go. I'm going to go off on a tangent. That's really cool though. But yeah, Jennifer McCabe, I open tabs on my phone and my iPad all the time and my computer. I use Google all the time. And I don't close it and then open it again. So I guess you could say that when I close my Google tab today, it's got the last 5 months on it, and it's all going to start getting dated now because now's when I closed it. And it's going to have an open date mistakenly somewhere in there about, yeah, no. I fully believe that that was made at 2:27 and 40 seconds. Um, even Jessica, I mean, they all saw it there. They all saw it there. And the different tools that were used, Richard Green had the correct answer, let alone Richard Green had more of the information. The other two people were just given just a little bit of stuff to work on because they couldn't possibly. Oh my gosh. She's visiting, went to high school with McAlbert and Albert. Oh my gosh. Are they still friends? They wouldn't be my friend anymore after this. Just like Proctor and his little thing the other day saying how he's got so much support. Yeah, by the bad folks. Nobody with a brain believes that you people are just sitting there and got no idea what happened. It's impossible. It's impossible. So this BS, Brian Albert was even on a task force. I mean, oh my God, he was such a wonderful police officer, had so much knowledge that he himself didn't know how to process a crime scene. And let's talk about Chloe. How do you sit on that interview and lie about the fact that the defense knew where Chloe was? I watched pretrial motions asking about the dog because they didn't know. Nobody wanted to turn it to me. It was like, why don't you just let them see the dog? If you got nothing to hide, let them see the dog. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But the defense kept asking for the dog's whereabouts, information on the dog, and no, y'all were not agreeable to it. So get up there on that interview and say, oh, if they wanted the dog, kiss my grits, would you? Just stop it. Just stop it.
Albert says he and Nicole only found out about John's death when Jen McCabe, who is Nicole's sister, barged into their bedroom.
She was just upset, and I immediately thought something had happened to one of her children or one of my children, because why else is she in my bedroom at 6:30 in the morning right now?
And what did she tell you?
She said, John's out front. I think John's dead out front. I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? And I'm like, I didn't know.
You still didn't piece it
I
together.
didn't understand what she was talking about, because why would John be out front of my house?
So massively confusing. There are police officers, EMTs on your front lawn. You're an officer. Why don't you just go outside and investigate or take a look?
I'm not a Canton police officer. I'm a Boston police officer.
Oh no, did I not have it on there? Oh my gosh, I didn't share the link. I was just watching it. Oh, let me go back. Oh my gosh. That was bad. I was thinking I was playing it, and I was sitting here watching it. Okay. So here we go. Let me get this back up there. Jeez. All right.
Medical examiner, firemen, EMTs, you name it. That's how preposterous and silly this is. And great question. I don't understand how people bought this.
Brian Albert says he and Nicole only found out about John's death when Jen McCabe, who is Nicole's sister, barged into their bedroom.
She was just upset, and I immediately thought something had happened to one of her children or one of my children, because why else is she in my bedroom at 6:30 in the morning right now?
And what did she tell you?
I'm so sorry. That was horrible. So let me just bring this point out to anybody who owns a dog. You see, it's not just did the dog make the marks on John O'Keefe. Okay. We know the shooting tail light didn't, let alone the fact, come on, people, it all shot into his arm and then it all pulled back out. There was no tail light in his injuries. You just can't make it up. But the dog. So, my dog is a Pomeranian. If someone gets hurt out front of my house, my dog would let me know. And she wouldn't shut up until somebody had helped the people or they were gone. So, it's a dog's nature, you know. You have a German Shepherd, and according to you guys's story, although none of you witnessed it, John O'Keefe was hit by a car, thrown into the yard because he had to fly into the yard but I don't know how he hit his head. Anyway, okay, so let's just go with Trooper Paul. He somehow hit his head, did a pirouette, and then flew into the yard. But if he's laying in your yard, do y'all think we're going to believe for 5 seconds that your dog wasn't going nuts? That dog would have been having a cow. Okay. And that would be very hard to do, in other words. So the dog would be just yelping and barking and alerting to the fact there was danger coming, folks. Danger. Because, see, the dog isn't going to know how that person was put on the yard, just that it was on the yard and needed assistance. And that danger outside might be coming in the house. That dog would not have shut up. These people would not have left your home and not seen John O'Keefe on the lawn. Y'all act like it was blowing snow the way it was when they first got there. Okay? When they first got there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, when the blizzard really started to kick in, was about 8 o'clock in the morning when it started dumping all that snow. And y'all want us to believe, right? You want us to believe that at midnight, with it barely coming down and with barely anything on the ground, nobody saw a body on the front lawn. Who even could try to believe that? What planet are you people on? It's impossible. It's impossible. Now, I know I live in Texas and I don't know a whole lot, but I've been snowed in a couple times out here, and you can see when it's snowing. You people live in flipping Massachusetts, and you're going to act like the world stops when it snows? I mean, I live in Texas, and even though we shouldn't be driving when it's not the snow, it's the ice, because the ice is what gets us. But still, y'all are acting like every person watching this is a dumbass. And when Jim McCabe burst into your room and said John's dead, no, I don't think that's what they mean, Brian Albert. What they mean is when Jen McCabe called your phone and Nicole's phone, right? Well, she called Nicole right after, or Julie. She called somebody right after speaking to Karen Reed. Y'all knew they were coming. You knew they were coming. What more is there to say? What more is there to say? Let alone the fact he had no frostbite. There is no way he laid out on that lawn from 12:30 midnight until you get there in the morning at 6 a.m. and no frostbite. And his phone was under him. But y'all got those things that you can put a phone into a specific bag or something and it acts like it's in airplane mode. Yeah. Well, you might not have had evidence containers, but I'm sure you had them phone bags or whatever. Let's see. Hey, Deborah. Hello. Speaking of the dog, where would you put your unfriendly dog so no one could get hurt and where you can have easy access to the yard? The garage is separate from the house, even though it's connected. Exactly. Or could have been in the basement. Who knows, right? We don't know about the dog. And we don't know the speculations that all the people have, in case the McAlberts are having a hard time comprehending this, is because nothing you people say makes any flipping sense. It makes no sense. You're asking us to believe the most ridiculous story in the world. There's no proof. There's evidence that doesn't fit what everybody else is seeing and everything. I don't give a flying hoot what Proctor said, but Jim McCabe said, Karen Reed said, I hit him. I hit him. I hit him. And then Jim McCabe wanted to sit up on that stand when she's being asked questions that she knows darn good and well she knew the answer to, because she knew them on the first trial. But on the second trial, she didn't know the answers. Why don't y'all just take a step down? Do you think we forgot the first trial? Do you think that everybody that has their opinion listens to just one thing, one person, and we've made up our mind? Absolutely not. There is no evidence. It's scientifically impossible that it happened the way you guys seem to claim it did. How can you guys claim that he was hit by a car when you know he wasn't hit by a car? How can you do that and look people straight in the face and tell the O'Keefes that you're sorry they didn't get justice because Karen Reed was found not guilty? That is justice. Karen Reed was found not guilty because she did not kill John O'Keefe. And John O'Keefe, from everything everyone says, was a law-abiding gentleman. I think he had his way with the women, and I don't think that he wanted to get, like, I think he had some issues committing, and I can understand why after seeing some of the family issues that I saw. But that doesn't make you a bad person. He was no saint. He wasn't perfect. Nobody who walks on this earth is perfect. But everybody knows if a police officer is unalived in any manner, it is all hands on deck until it's solved, right? Hey, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, true. Hadn't thought of that. We don't have basements here in Texas. So anyway, I don't understand how they're sitting there saying all this. I mean, and with a straight face and acting like, oh, geez, we just they just call us bad names and treat us so bad. Well, I wonder why, people. Why?
She said, John's out front. I think John's dead out front. I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? And I'm like, I didn't know.
You still didn't piece it
I
together.
didn't understand what she was talking about, because why would John be out front of my house?
So massively confusing. There are police officers, EMTs on your front lawn. You're an officer. Why don't you just go outside and investigate or take a look?
I'm not a Canton police officer. I'm a Boston police officer. I was just woken up out of a cold sleep from hanging out the night before. By the time I came downstairs, the police were already in my house. John was already gone. There was nobody to save. I would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was a fellow cop. That's the most ridiculous question that.
Did that make anybody else angry right there? What kind of show was that, Brian Albert? You're not on your TV show. Do you know what I mean? Not on your TV show. And I really wish that the defense would have called the people that knew Brian Albert at work and had run-ins with his hothead temper. I would have really enjoyed seeing that. I hope that Karen Reed and her team are able to get books out and movies out with all the information they know, and that they keep it to where they're the ones that have the last say, so that it's done as close to realistic as possible. And I've heard that the McAlberts have something coming out, and you know what? The whoever's making it won't even make enough money to pay what they put into it, in my opinion, when it's done. Because no, have a friend who believes Higgins attacked John O'Keefe near garage. Maybe Colin joins in on beatdown. John O'Keefe hits head on garage concrete step and someone grabs John O'Keefe's phone and runs upstairs. Get Uncle Brian. Yeah, that comment does hurt. I would take a bullet for him. I mean, yet the guy, right, right. And ask any other law enforcement person if there was an issue on their front yard, would they run out to help? And the answer would surprise you, Brian Albert. They would say yes. They wouldn't care if they were on that police force, if they were the FBI, if they were a marshal, if they were, they wouldn't care if there was somebody. And the fact that nobody knew he was on your front yard and you want to say he was there since 12:30, and in the first trial, let's not forget that Jim McCabe herself testified that she saw that car out there at 12:45 and she was texting John, where are you, or come in, or hey, or whatever. I don't remember the specific. She would be able to remember the specifics, maybe, possibly. But like I said, the first thing was 12:45. And that didn't fit because their own experts had her home by 12:36. So I don't know. I don't know. That comment just shows what a heart cell sociopath Brian Albert is. Brian Albert is very. I don't know why he thinks people would believe this garbage. I don't know. I don't know. They're all trying to save face here. I think because what? Because the town don't like them anymore. I mean, they could have waited a little while before they did this video of "woe is me." And Chris Albert is sickening. I've seen him out on videos. I've seen his behavior at the town hall meetings. I watched him read a so-called apology that had absolutely no meaning behind it. So, Chris Albert, go ahead and play the victim.
People always ask, it makes zero sense. What am I supposed to do? Run out front, my underwear, and start running yellow tape around the fire hydrant?
Over the course of the night, Reed called and texted John 52 times. She then called Jen asking for help to find John.
Then she got sleep, and then she got scared. I'm going to skip this.
I don't know. Hello?
But what raised eyebrows at Reed's trial was a defense theory about a Google search Jen had made about how long it takes to die in the cold. The defense claiming she searched it before O'Keefe's body was found.
So much has been made about that Google search that morning. Was it at 6 a.m. or was it at 6:27 a.m.? How long to die in the cold? What's your answer?
She asked me to do it at outside of Fairview at 6:20, whatever it was. Doesn't matter how much I say about it, people will not believe it.
The group also hoping to clear up rumors regarding the Alberts' dog, Chloe, who had been rehomed after the incident. The defense claimed the dog was involved in O'Keefe's death.
Those wounds were inflicted as a result of a dog attack. Those marks are from teeth.
They've known for 2 years where Chloe is. The state shared it with them.
So if they wanted to take DNA evidence from Chloe the dog and match it to possible DNA evidence on John O'Keefe, they could have matched it.
Absolutely.
But now with the trial behind them, they say they're still faced with threats against them and their families, but hope to continue calling this community their home.
You get down, you get depressed, and it's like, but this is the town we grew up in. We didn't do anything wrong. We all contributed to our town. We love our town. Why should we have to go anywhere?
Oh my gosh. And there we have it. Oh, heartless. Billy doesn't count when grandkids hang out with Nana. I know that feeling, right? Yeah. So, the thing that really got me was a All right, so we had the police audit, and that was because town people were just having fits. Town people also had fits about misrepresentation of the weather. And now this is after the first trial, and I watched those town hall meetings because I'm like, what do you? I mean, that's not like we have here. So I'm still baffled on how they can lie about the dog. Well, I mean, they lie about anything they want to, but I watched too many pretrial motions trying to get information about that dog. So that's not the truth, y'all. But then again, doesn't seem to matter, right? They'll just say whatever. So we're supposed to believe that Brian Albert in his mind wouldn't think that he should respond to an emergency on his own front yard in Canton because he was a Boston cop, right? Even though at the time he didn't know if he could save John O'Keefe or not, right? And how did John O'Keefe have vomit in his underdrawers? Vomit and blood in his underdrawers. Riddle me that. I mean, if it was what they say in a car hitting, did he throw up while he's spinning around? I mean, you know, and I'm not at all making fun of what happened to John O'Keefe. It's sickening what happened to John O'Keefe. And I think that, you know, they had Proctor come out with his video. Now they've got these people with their video. And I think they're all missing the point, okay? I think they're all still acting like they're, you know, they're in high school and they're going to win their friends over to their side, who'll then win more friends over to their side. It's not like that anymore, guys. And from what I could tell listening to the townsfolk, you guys just are not the nicest families. That's just the bottom line. Town people have had a lot to say. And Chris Albert, a town selectman, who I can't remember when, but they've, you know, people have asked for him to get off the board ever since he got on it. And the fact that he did, in fact, in a drunk driving incident, kill a man. And if I'm not mistaken, he called Officer Lank when he did go to turn himself in. So there's a whole lot more to this Albert McAlbert garbage, you know. And Karen Reed, thank God she had the resources that she did. And thank goodness for the people and their kindness of their heart. I mean, come on, Alberts. Do you know how much it does? How much does it say to the people to understand that so many people involved with the Karen Reed case did it for free at a certain point because she had run out of money because of you goons? Doesn't that say anything to y'all? And the FBI, I love the FBI, the fact that Brennan tried to say that the FBI was closed. You don't know that. I still don't know that because I don't trust anything Rafferty says. And Rafferty said to him, let alone the fact all those messed up, come on, all those messed up videos, all the time lapses. It doesn't take 50 people to screw up something like that. You got Officer Devers, who shows that she's willing to just go along with anybody. So we know she can't be too great. I mean, I don't see how she could ever be a detective because she can't testify on the stand since she has a habit of getting false memories of something. And just because you're called in and told that you punched out at a certain time, never did she say that's when she left. And how many people would have left? There was a lot going on. There was people concerned, people that cared. So I would think that, yeah, they never thought it would go worldwide. They never did. And I listened to people that say that they know of the case only because of Aiden. I know of the case because it went to trial. So that's not true. I knew I'd heard about Aiden on the YouTube streets. Didn't understand the connection, didn't look for it, didn't listen. If I ever heard anything about Karen Reed, if it had anything to do with anything not first trial related, I didn't listen. The only thing I listened to was the first trial until they went into deliberation, and then I felt it safe to go digging into other stuff. But my mind was made up. The other thing is listening to Jennifer McCabe testify this time and say, I was in shock. I was in shock for so long. What in the hell do you think Karen was feeling? And you guys want to try to hold her to feet to the fire over a comment that y'all all swear she made, but not all. Only 3 or 4 of you. That's what gets me. Only 3 or 4 people said it. And the first person that said it was Katie McLaughlin. That was the first person that said it. And Katie McLaughlin, even though she was only driving the ambulance, seemed to be the very first EMT that they spoke with. And why is that? Well, it doesn't have anything to do with her and Caitlin Albert being friends, right? I don't know the backstory of Commissioner Cox at all. I'm gonna have to go live with something that happened in Oklahoma, though. Literally, my daughter sent it to me, I guess yesterday or today. I don't know. She lives right here, but we send stuff to each other all the time. And literally, I cried when I read it. But I don't know anything about the Commissioner Cox. What I do know is Devers. I don't have to have a behavioral analysis to say she was lying. There, I don't believe a word she said. Well, there might have been a couple of things I might have believed. Like she was so funny. I can't tell a lie up here. Well, she did lie. She did lie in the very beginning when she said, "Well, I don't know why I'm here." That's a lie because she very clearly knew why she was there. And there were so many other just small things that were just lies. I don't know why I'm here. She knew damn good and well why she was there. So, and then for her to insinuate anything ill towards the defense, of course they were mad that she changed her story. My gosh, how can anything just keep going the wrong way for Karen Reed? And it was all in covering stuff up or making it not appear this or making it, I mean, the Commonwealth is the one that went in there and tried to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. I'm sorry. It was not, I've just never seen the likes of it. And Judge Canoni with the, I'll let him have it. Yeah, the jurors noticed that too. They also noticed the overabundance. Um, what do you call it? Well, then I would assume Cox would want things done right, wouldn't he? If he was mistaken for being a suspect and he was beat up, wow. I would think the last thing he would want is cover-ups. So that doesn't make any sense. Huh. I guess people forget, right? I guess somewhere along the line, I don't know how you f- how do you forget to be a good human or forget to do the right thing? I don't know what I don't know. But anyway, y'all, I I didn't know if I could play that all the way through, but you talk about tick me off. So I had to just sit down and come in here and I hope that the Alberts do see this for the simple fact that I'm sick and tired of you people acting like the world is stupid. And Proctor is just hell. I know how to do a better police investigation than he does. All right. How about them apples? And I know my dog would have never let somebody lay on the front yard in need of help. How about them apples? And Christopher Albert, you need to resign from the town select board. Nobody wants you on there. I watch those. You belittle people. You talk down to people. We're just from here. Yeah, well, I guess you're going to take your own place from now on, which is in the back with the rest of the normal folk because favors aren't coming to you guys anymore. They are cleaning house in Canton. The people have spoken and they're going to continue to fight. That's we see. So, yeah, there is karma, and I believe in karma. I really do. I've heard the rumors. I'll tell you what, though, I have to say this. And and then I'm gonna have to run. But God, where was it? It came out in the trial, and I was shocked to say the least. Why in the world did the Commonwealth present evidence that had a text read? I believe it was a text that was read regarding John O'Keefe's deceased brother-in-law o- overdosing on his wife's grave. Our hearts are heavy for those children, and probably in a lot of ways that you people wouldn't comprehend because of the damages that have been done by the lies. And also some of the stuff said, it's been said so many times that, he stepped up and he took the kids. How about he loved his niece and nephew instead of he stepped up and took the kids as if pointing out they were orphans because they weren't. They were, but they weren't. They had family that loved them that was going to be there, and he felt he was the best one to do it. Karen Reed was a good influence on him. And until y'all came up with this, highfalutin story that she got mad and backed into him, the children and she had a relationship that really, in my opinion, y'all would have been good to let go, to let it continue. She loved the kids. That was plain to see. She didn't know exactly. She had never had kids, but you could tell by how she behaved that she loved kids. It's just so much bad. And as the jurors have stated, they feel, everybody feels for John O'Keefe's murderers to not be held accountable. And watching the first trial, it angered me. I didn't understand the yeah, I know. That got me. Did you catch it too? I mean, how many people caught this? I was flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted that came out. Just you can feel sorry for the family. It's okay. Matter of fact, it's normal. But just because we feel sorry for the family doesn't mean we want the wrong person persecuted. And that they just wanted her persecuted. And now they're trying to sue her for money. Tell me what they're after. What are they after? And Paul O'Keefe, he was in a drunk driving incident and she bailed his arse out of jail. And the person he hit has medical issues for the rest of their life. But oh, that's okay because it wasn't anybody you're related to. Is that right, Paul? And I'll say I've heard some stuff about Paul, which um, I'm really sorry some of it was put out there regarding conversations about his children. But yeah, those children have been through so much, and there is no reason for them to harbor hatred for an innocent person. It's not healthy for them. I can't even imagine because the comments that I've heard through all this is like making them seem like I don't know. I don't know. I don't think John O'Keefe would approve. How's that? I don't think he would approve of any of this. And the reason I say that is because he's appeared to be a man of moral fortitude. Do the right thing kind of guy. So don't tell me for 1 second that this would have been okay. That he would have wanted Karen Reed or his children to be put through this. No way. I know Mr. O'Keefe breaks my heart. He suffers his pain. But it seemed like he went over and stayed at John O'Keefe's quite a bit. Think maybe I understand why. So we've got all y'all. I mean, are we gonna have Carrie Roberts come on and tell us that, yeah, it was a good thing that she went into that grand jury and lied. The twisted stories that had to have been told in that grand jury to get these indictments, the lies that had to have been told, the lack of proof. Yeah, you know what? I think so too. And I don't know, but I thought, are Aaron and he even together anymore? Because what I found interesting is that his address was listed as Canton. Aaron's was somewhere else. Mr. O'Keefe's address was something else, and Peggy's was Canton. So I noticed all that. But I don't see how any of them can honestly they should be glad that Karen Reed was found innocent once you look at all the evidence, because none of it pointed to Karen Reed. The thing that got me, I know, I wish the FBI would just come on, show us, give me some hope, because they've got to know a lot more than we do. But and I forgot what I was fixing to say. It was on the tip of my tongue. Dadgummit, I get mad when I do that. Mm, I don't remember. Yeah, lying to the FBI was something else. And I hope that they're there. I hope that they're coming out. I hope that they've got something to tell us. I really do hope so. Um, when I finally understood that the feds couldn't get involved until this was all said and done, well, it's all said and done. And I hope the feds are able to come after some people that probably are in their view. And as far as suing her for damages, I know that she wants to be done with them, but I hope she fights that. Shouldn't have to pay a penny. John O'Keefe obviously was not a type of person that put a lot of stock in that, because he didn't like Karen Reed spending money on the kids and being exorbitant and stuff. So I don't think that he would find it. Yeah, Martha Stewart lied to 2 FBI agents and went to jail. But if you're in Canton, I guess, I don't know. And I know that we've had a change in presidents, but that still shouldn't stop it. It shouldn't stop it. There should be something going on. But I do hope there's books and movies, because the amount of evidence that the defense team has is, I mean, we heard it. I want to see it. Um, we heard a lot that they had, but they didn't have to bring on all of the people. And the bottom line is, the Commonwealth paid Aperture $500,000, and even they couldn't prove that the car hit John O'Keefe. $500,000. Really? Now, they tried to say, because, Doofus in the blue paint did say at the end that that is what happened to John O'Keefe. Not that's what I think, but that is what happened. And then you have the ARCA guys. If anybody in their right mind was going to say, which expert do you think would have charged a 500,000? And my money would have been on ARCA, even though I think it's exorbitant. But there is no way that I can picture Aperture being paid $400,000. And Brennan, he probably made a meal. And the other thing is the Canton police audit. That was kind of a snowball, if you will. And those people had never, I don't believe those people had ever done like a regular police department. I think that was their first, and they were hoping to get their name out there. And then they were trying to, um, you know, um, golly, there goes my brain again. I think I'm going to end on that one. That was pretty bad right there. You know, I don't know if the O'Keefes have pro bono. I don't know. But I hope their attorney lets them know it's gonna be one heck of a fight at this point. One heck of a fight. Because she didn't have anything to do with his death. And nobody can say how much she had to drink for positive, and nobody can say whether she had anything to drink after she went home. And the one person that we do know for in fact, and I hate to say this, that had a blood alcohol level that was very dangerous, in my opinion, was John O'Keefe. And John O'Keefe had been drinking all day. He said himself that he had just sobered up or something in one of the text messages, and then he was going to go out. So, I don't know how Morrissey is not investigated for that. There is some bad stuff. Just like, who is it? Chris Albert's wife's her name Julie. I noticed that she was not sitting there today, and if I'm not mistaken, she wrote a letter to Morrissey, or her name was in a letter to Morrissey regarding thanking him, taking the heat off of Colin or getting the heat off of Colin, or I don't know. And, I don't know what I think about that. I think Colin's a hothead, um, big mouth that may have started something, but he certainly didn't have the gumption to carry it through. Anyways, I'm gonna have to run. I've got to go to the little girl's room, and I've got to go see. I think they're out in the pool still. It's just one of them above ground pools, but um, they love it. So I almost got in there after I mowed today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on this, and I will be back with more, believe it or not. Bye. It was so good to see you getting to the ducking point. Bye.